Take your place in the Coaching Lounge. Be inspired by discussions with motivational guests, compelling speakers, key people of influence, and models of success. Learn unique processes, strategies, and tips that will transform your life. Tune into previous episodes on www.thecoachinglounge.co.uk. Like our page on Facebook via The Coaching Lounge. Follow us on Twitter @Satellite Coach. Thank you for joining your host, Rebecca Gordon, in The Coaching Lounge. Tune in, relax, engage, and transform your life now. I'm here with Cloris Kylie, who has joined us in the Coaching Lounge. Cloris Kylie is the author of Magnificent Married or Not, Reaching Your Higher Self Before, During and After Divorce. And we're going to hear from Cloris today exactly how her divorce enabled her to actually come through all of that. And she has written a book, which is Magnificent Married or Not. And we're going to hear how Cloris transformed through that experience, what she learned from it, and, also gather some insights and awareness that Cloris can issue and give to you, to the listener. So without further ado, Cloris has lots to share with us. So let's just introduce Cloris into the Coaching Lounge. Cloris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. And I just want you to share with us actually what inspired you to write this book.
Well, what inspired me was not only experiencing a lot of pain myself, but also seeing it in people around me. What happened is that I joined an online support group when I was going through this, and I witnessed the extreme pain that pretty much everybody who was part of the group was experiencing. And something inside of me said, this is not right. All these people are wasting precious hours, months, even years of their life, including myself, grieving over something that, yes, is important, but that can also be turned into an opportunity. So instead of seeing it as something devastating and letting it rule our lives, I thought that it could be just turned around and used to create something positive. So I started to give advice to these people because I just felt called to do it. At the time, I had been doing a lot of research on spirituality and self-improvement in general. And somehow I had all this knowledge, and I just started to share my knowledge with the people who were part of the group. And I received amazing feedback. Everybody was just really happy with it. And I said, well, why don't I just copy and paste all this information that I'm giving to this group and create a book. So that's how the book came to be.
Fantastic. Because divorce, I've gone through a divorce myself, and for me, my experience was extremely traumatic. When you've shared your life with someone, you may have, created a family, have children, your partner's family, and there's a big community. And for whatever reason, through divorce, this comes to an end. And it actually was for me like a bit of a bereavement. So for your experience, you're saying actually you saw something else in this situation. You saw another side of what it could give to you. And can people who are separated but still married benefit from reading the book? Is it for people who have gone through divorce? Who is the book for?
But the book is for anyone who's experiencing some sort of sense of emotional separation from their spouse. So it could be somebody who's actually, in a marriage, they're living together, but they feel they don't have that connection with their spouse anymore. It could be for people who are separated also, and for people who are going through the actual process of divorce, or even who went through it years ago. Because I know a lot of people who who got divorced, let's say 10, even 15 years ago. And when you mention the event, they completely change. Like you see them, the negative emotions come up and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. It just makes me really upset. So it's for anybody who feels that part of their life is not the way they would want it to be just because of this event.
Right, I see. So it's for anyone really who, you could still be married, separated, or years after the event. And
Correct.
yeah, so can you tell me, in terms of you were inspired through your supporting other people and sharing with people, what are some of the real challenges from your interaction of people who you supported? What are the challenges that people face? What made people so welcome and embrace the words that you and the support you had to offer? Could you pin it down to a few different things within the whole realm of divorce?
Well, I would say they trusted me because we had already established a bond. We were sharing our stories for months at that time, and I felt like I knew what they needed, and what most of them needed was a sense of feeling that they were not alone. You know, when we go through a challenge, it could be any challenge. It doesn't have to be divorce or separation. We feel like we're the only ones who are going through this. And we say, oh, it must be just me, or it must be the only person who has ever experienced something like that. And the fact is that most likely you are not, regardless of the challenge that you're going through. So just finding other people who were going through the same already made them feel better, including myself. Just seeing, oh wow, I'm not the only one experiencing all these emotions. I'm not just a weirdo, like it's normal. It's okay to
Yes,
feel this sadness and this,
yes.
this hopelessness. And I think that's the main, the starting point. The starting
Right.
point is to feel, okay, I'm not alone.
Because it can be quite isolating, can't it?
Of course it can be. And then, of course, at the beginning, when you trust your friends or even your family, they're very supportive and they might call you every day for a week or so to see how you're doing. But after that, everybody just goes on with their lives, and then you feel like everybody has left you.
Right. So let's just talk about the healing then. So going through the process of okay, isolation, knowing actually I'm not alone in this. What's the start to be on the road to healing, through or after divorce?
I think the start is a process of awareness, Rebecca. That's so important because sometimes we have these negative emotions and we're not even aware of them. So we react to the situations that we see every day based on those emotions. So that's when things start to go wrong. Let's say that and it happened to me. Like, I started to misplace things. I even lost my passport and my social security
Oh
card, which
wow,
is
okay.
so that was a source of a lot of stress
Yeah, it's the
for a
stress, yes.
few weeks just to make sure that my identity wasn't stolen.
Right.
And then I would leave the door unlocked at night and just drop things, and I would, I
Yeah.
started to create all these problems in my life. So I think being aware of those negative emotions before they snowball into something that you cannot control helps. Again, it's not a matter of, oh, today I'm going to feel well and that's it. No, it's a
Mm,
process.
mm,
But if you start by becoming aware of those emotions and trying to replace uh, that negative thought with
mm.
something that makes you feel just a little bit better,
Right.
that's a start.
Yeah, because we do not want to dwell in the negativity, we perhaps sometimes mask the feelings and mask the emotions, but it doesn't go away. We actually have to let it work through. And I hear that healing is actually part of that process. So let's just we're talking about being empowered through divorce, I think, is what we're touching on here. What's the role of the subconscious awareness that feeds into the conscious awareness? What do we need to be aware of where the subconscious is concerned?
Well, our subconscious mind I want you to look at it as software, right? So we have our hardware, which is our brain, our conscious mind, and then the software running in the background, that's the subconscious mind. And we have been programming this subconscious mind from the moment of our birth. We have received all kinds of uh, experiences and just things that people have told us as correct from our environment, like the community and the media, things that we're exposed to. So those programs determine not only the way we think, but the way we behave. So what happens is some of those programs are not really serving us, right? There might be a program that says when you get divorced, you're not good enough or you have failed at life. So the program kicks in and you feel terrible about yourself and you feel like there's no hope. So it's a matter of replacing those limiting programs with programs that make you feel good, that make you enjoy life. This doesn't happen in a day, as I said before. It's something that starts by being aware. So something that you can practice as soon as you wake up. Just focus on what's good about your life. Before you go to sleep, the 5 minutes before you go to sleep, you focus on appreciating the things that you have. And that starts to make a little bit of a switch. Also, you have to congratulate yourself when you feel better. Let's say that sometimes it used to be victory for me to not think about my situation just for just an hour of my day that I didn't think about it.
Mhm.
I would actually notice that and say, wow, that was good. I didn't think about it for an hour.
So you
So
you kept yourself busy. You focused on other things. You had other things happening in your life, which meant that the focus wasn't so much on this traumatic event.
yeah, that's correct. So then, as time went by, I realized, I am worthy, and my worth doesn't depend on what happened. But again, it's something that you build. Every single day you change those thoughts, and it has to be something believable. It cannot be something that you discount as just something that you're saying to make yourself feel better,
Yeah.
because then it won't work. It
Yeah.
won't work. It won't become one of your new programs in your mind.
So, because you wrote this book, I mean, you said that you've gone through divorce. How long were you married for, Cloris?
I was married for 12 years and with him for almost 15. So
Right.
he's basically my only
Yeah.
relationship I ever had. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you've gone, this is actually why you're on the show, because you've gone through a divorce after a good length of time of being with someone, married to someone, and you have spoken about the importance of transforming yourself to be magnificent, married or not. So moving into magnificence, changing the thoughts, moving into a new attitudes, new behaviors. What is it exactly to stand magnificently empowered through such a traumatic experience? Could you speak to us about that?
What it means to, first of all, accept the situation and accept who you are and to learn to see yourself for your true essence. And your true essence is doesn't depend on whether you're married or whether you're thin or whether you have a job. It depends on your connection with your source. So your connection with your spirit, your connection with the people around you, and the meaning that you have in your life. So if you prioritize those things, it doesn't matter what happens around you. It doesn't matter if you go through a bad time in your financial situation or a bad relationship or the end of a marriage. It does not matter because you know that your worth stays the same, that is constant, is changeless. And that's what I say in the book, that we are birthless, deathless, and changeless beings. And it's important to get back to that spiritual side of ourselves and let it guide us. It's not something that is just, oh, it's just pretty to say. It's the truth. And we're so consumed by what our senses perceive that sometimes it's hard to believe that, yes, we are mostly spiritual beings and we're having a temporary physical experience. but it's important to get in touch with that. And
Yeah.
again, you don't have to be religious, or you just have to be in touch with that essence that does not change.
And it is almost like a couple of things. It's like it's a challenge to the self to recognize actually this moment is a special moment that I can turn around if I take the time to do so. And it is to take the time to do the work, isn't it? Which sometimes is the challenge, to focus on these things that you're talking about, developing the spiritual aspect of the self and looking at the source of who you are, especially when you've spent years or a length of time in a marriage, a partnership, and then all of a sudden you're just there by yourself and it's about finding the self again. So the spiritual aspect is very much a part of what you were aware of and understood as a mechanism, a real strong source and mechanism to help you through your situation. Yeah.
That yeah, that is right. I mean, the spiritual aspect is very important. And again, it doesn't matter if you're not religious. It's just that connection with our source. We are energy beings, really. Like everything is energy. Things that you can touch are energy, and also things that you cannot touch, but you know they are there. You feel the do you feel the energy waves from a cell phone, or do you feel the internet waves going through you? You don't, right? It's something that is there and you trust is there even though you don't see it. So it's important to learn to see the whole world as energy vibrating at different wavelengths, and accept that it's actually a scientific principle. So it's a marriage of the spiritual and the scientific into one thing. So if you learn to see yourself as a being of energy, then you can choose to raise your energy level to higher and higher levels. So you're connected with that source that allows you to manifest the kind of life that you know you want to live.
Okay. I love what you say. I mean, it's a lovely perspective, and I absolutely share what you say. I actually want to touch on, Cloris, another aspect of divorce, which when you're in the thick of it, because, this message, this show today is specifically about divorce and relationships and, how to come into your magnificence, and touch on the source of yourself. When there's bitterness, when there might be custody, when this separation means that the unit of the family home has to be separated, and that gives rise to some perhaps negative feelings. And I do hear what you say, but I'm just wondering, how does somebody manage themselves within all of that aspect of the trauma, the physical aspects, the separation, the
Right.
possessions, etc.
What I would say, the first step is to realize that every single day when you wake up is like a blank slate. Like it's a new opportunity to regain that part of yourself that you know is there, but it might be hidden or lost for a little while. That part of yourself that is joyful and happy and content. So maybe you had a bad day, and that's okay. Then you go to sleep. You try to be appreciative of what you have. And then when you wake up, you go, okay, I have a new chance.
Mm,
So instead of waking up and immediately going back to the problem and thinking, okay, today is the negotiations and the kids and what am I going to do? And instead of starting that all over again, which you know what happens, right? When you think about that, then thoughts that are just like that come to you. So they build up on each other. And at the end of the day, you're a mess because you have all of these negative thoughts coming together. And that's what happens with the law of attraction, which it is a real law. I mean, a thought attracts a similar thought. So instead of letting that happen, then you try to start your day with a different kind of thought and say, okay, this can be a different opportunity for me to be a little bit more joyful today. So let me appreciate what the hours of sleep that I had, or the home where I live, or the fact that even though I don't have my children with me all the time now, I still see them a certain time. Like whatever works for you that makes you feel a little bit better,
mm,
then it works. It doesn't have
yeah.
to be a huge improvement, but every day if you feel just a little bit better. then you can manage it. And if for some reason the day doesn't go as well and you still go back to those negative emotions, which happened to me many, many times, then you forgive yourself. And you say, okay, tomorrow's another day. I will try this again.
Right. And you mentioned actually the concept of surrendering, surrendering, letting things go to reach that state of peace. How did
Right.
that, I mean, you have shared with us how it will help, but specifically for yourself, I'm interested to know, and just to put it into context here, when I came through my divorce and came through that trauma, actually, that was when life began, you know. And partly I let go of an aspect of my life that was necessary and I learned from it, but it was no longer part of the purpose, if you like.
Right.
And it was in terms of me surrendering to that fact, which was actually quite emotional and quite painful. So is it letting go part of what we have to understand we have to do to get through this?
Yes, yes, Rebecca. Letting go is probably one of the key strategies to not only recover from divorce, but to really make it into an opportunity for growth. And it's something that has to be a conscious decision that you make. And you might not be ready today. It's okay. If you say, okay, I'm trying to do this, maybe I still feel terrible. Maybe you're not ready. So give yourself more time. But it is important that we realize that the past, whatever is happening in the past, happened in the past, and even whatever is happening today, tomorrow will be the past, and there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. So it's important to focus on the things that we can do to make our life better. If not, we're making a conscious choice to not be happy. And I think all of us want to be happy. So remind yourself of that. You say, okay, what I want to be happy. What do I need to do to be happy? Well, first of all, I gotta let go of this. And you can let go of parts of it. You don't have to pretend that the past didn't happen. Not at all. But you can cherish the good things and then see the bad things as learning experiences. And a magnificent married or not, I usually say, well, ask yourself, what can you learn now, today? Like, what are you learning from your interactions with your spouse if you're still going through the divorce negotiations? What can you learn from your interactions with your children, with your family? There's a lot you can learn through this process. You learn who your true friends are and who is not really a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So many things that you can learn. So if you focus on the whole process as a learning experience, you start to shift the way you see it, and once that happens, then you start to see the light, and more things start to come that serve you, that make you feel good.
Clarice, I wish I had you to speak to when I was going through my divorce. It would have made a tremendous difference.
Well, I wish I had been there, Rebecca.
Relax in the coaching lounge and engage with compelling, motivational speakers. Be prepared to transform your inner world to shape your outer world through empowering discussions. Tune into thecoachinglounge.co.uk now.
We are in the coaching lounge with Cloris, who is the author of Magnificent Married or Not. And Cloris Kylie is sharing with us some very important and sharing with us very important aspects of what we need to be aware of if you may be going through a divorce or going through a separation, or thinking actually I'm not happy at this moment. What can I expect if the time comes when I make the decision to move through this? Personally, for myself, it's a case of it is sometimes, when you're in a relationship and you think actually, there are things that I know I can do to improve upon in terms of putting into this relationship. Can we backtrack a little bit? And now, since we've come through the divorce, can we backtrack? And because you're sharing lots of information about being in touch with the spiritual aspect of yourself, etc. Can you backtrack, and before we reach the state of this is the decision I'm going to make, What can we do if we're on the verge of separation or divorce? What can we do to give things a chance? I know that there are various different things in play, and variables that would impact upon relationship. But
Right.
because we can only be in control of ourselves, how does one prepare themselves for A, if that time comes, or B, to take a different road at that juncture?
Right, right. Well, actually, most of the people who were part of my online support group were people who were trying to save their marriages. They were not people who were giving up. They all thought that they could save their marriages, and some of them were working on it for a couple of years already, just trying to change themselves and to change the situation, which is a good thing to do. But at the same time, it's important that we don't become attached to the outcome of that effort. And that doesn't mean that you don't care about the outcome. It means that if for some reason it doesn't work, then you're not going to be devastated and feel like your life is over. It's the same as, let's say that you're applying for a job and you're all excited and you go to the interview. They invite you to a second interview and you talk to everyone about this job that you're going to get. And then a couple of weeks go by and they tell you, oh, sorry, but we gave the job to someone else. And it's easy to feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not good enough and feel disappointed, just have a horrible rest of the day and even weeks, or just stop looking for a job and give up. Same thing happens with this type of situation. You really try to save your marriage, you give it your all. That's what I did. I spent a period of 3 years doing absolutely everything I could, trying to find what I could do myself to improve myself, to improve the relationship and to give as much love as I could to my husband. And it still didn't work. So it's important that we prepare ourselves for that fact, not really visualize a negative outcome, but say that, okay, my worth doesn't depend on whether I'm successful or not.
Mm.
And then another piece of information that I think is really, really important is to realize that our relationship really is in our mind. The quality of our relationship, it really is something in our mind, in our subconscious mind. So if we choose to see the positive aspects of somebody instead of focusing on what's wrong, we actually change their relationship. So if something bothers you about your spouse, or you cannot stand whatever he or she does, why don't you focus on what you like about the person? Why don't you focus on the beautiful things about this person and cherish your time with them? Worst case scenario, let's say that the divorce still happens, then you have a more positive relationship to make the divorce process less traumatizing.
Mm. And that is absolutely important, especially if there are children involved, to keep some level of harmony, for the purpose of continuing to raise children,
That's
in
correct.
cases, yes. Cloris, I love that very profound statement. The quality of our relationship is in our conscious mind. So again, it does go back to the energy, to the thoughts that we create, to what we put out there,
Mhm.
which makes a difference in the dynamics of the interaction. And so once that decision is made, some couples or individuals choose to go to therapy. We call it, there's a relate counselling, marriage counsel guidance service over here in the UK.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's very important that you select a counselor who is really going to help you and focus on the positive aspects of the relationship and how to enhance those positive aspects, rather than somebody who's going to focus on what's wrong. Because it's the equivalent of reprogramming your subconscious mind to think that there's something wrong with your marriage. And that's what happened to me. I was focusing on what was supposedly wrong. I never thought there was anything wrong to start with. But then when my husband brought up all these issues, I said, oh my goodness, yeah, we have all these issues. So I was focusing on how to fix the issues, something that never occurred to me before. So
Wow.
all of my energy was focused on what was going wrong. We saw a couple of marriage counselors, same story. I remember one of them, we visited the first time, and he looked at me and said, I just want to ask you, why you are in this relationship that is obviously not serving you. I said, oh.
That's a wake-up call, isn't it?
So where I
Yeah.
was speechless, like, oh, I thought I was coming here to help my relationship, not to label it as something that is not working out.
Right.
So I would say just make sure you interview several counselors and just ask what their approach is. You know, what do you focus on? What are the sessions like? And then you'll feel some sort of vibe going on between you and the counselor. If you feel good, then of course continue the sessions, continue working with this person. If you don't feel good, if you leave the sessions feeling worse about yourself and worse about your marriage, then it's time to switch counselors. And it's a tough decision though sometimes, because you feel that you have already invested your time with this professional and that it's too late, or you have to start all over again,
Yeah.
and you give yourself excuses. But sometimes you have to just switch to
Yeah.
someone else who might help you.
I'm just wondering the proportion of couples or individuals who do seek out these services as opposed to those who don't. Um, Something's telling me that there's actually an imbalance where there are probably more couples or individuals who don't seek any help and any support and just battle through alone. What do you have any figures or any thoughts or any statistics on that?
Well, the statistics, I don't have specific figures, but the statistics show that about, well, now I guess I do have figures, about 80% of the people who go to counseling do so at a point that it's just too late to fix anything. They go when they have talked about divorce already. So at that point, both of the parties have this frame of mind that does not allow them to see their relationship under a positive light. They're doing this as a last resort. They go because they feel like they have to. They feel, oh, if I don't do it, then everybody's going to say that I didn't give it a chance. So, okay, I might as well do a couple of sessions. So with that kind of frame of mind, of course, it's impossible that it'll help. So I would say if you ever feel like something is just not right in the communication between you and your spouse, then seek help immediately. Don't wait till the last second, or don't just keep your feelings inside and wait until you're ready to leave the house to tell your spouse.
Mhm.
Really speak up soon,
Mhm.
seek help soon, and then things will change. Don't be one of those 80% of the people who waste their time going to a counselor.
Mm, okay. Cloris, I'm wondering, we mentioned children within families and the breakup of a relationship. And we know that there are exceptions, in terms of maybe a woman who's facing violence in her marriage. And yes, the thing to do is to get out of that. But in a situation where there's a departure and there are children, I'm just wondering, how is it that individuals or someone can bring peace within the divorce negotiation, within that divorce process? What strategies can you share with us?
Well, there were a lot of people in my online support group who were going through with issues with the whole custody arrangements. And many of them were really attached to the fact that they were with their children every single day, of course, like everybody. So they resisted the fact that the children could spend part of their lives with their spouse away from them. And some of them would find excuses and say, oh, my husband is staying at this place that is just not good for the children, or that he's not a good influence, and things that they were just saying to themselves to prevent the other spouse from being with their kids. So what happens with that kind of attitude is that it brings more negativity into the situation. The children feel like they have to pick sides, and then the whole process becomes really traumatizing. So I would say just keep in mind that what you're doing every day when you talk to your children about this is that you're actually programming their subconscious mind. So in the future, when they're adults, when they are in a relationship, whatever you taught them, not just by talking to them, but by your actions, will surface. So they will tend to behave in ways that match what they learned when they were growing up. And if that includes being bitter toward your spouse or ex-spouse, or just having this negative kind of fighting attitude, they'll do exactly the same. So just think of that. Keep in mind that you love your children, so you want to do what is best for them. And the beautiful thing is that I've followed up with a couple of those people, and they say that now that they actually had to agree to share custody.
Okay.
They actually are enjoying the time that they have on their own, that they have been able to explore hobbies and activities that they never thought they could, and they have actually adapted to the change.
Mm. So again, the message is with a different perception, a different thought energy, and expressing and working from the higher self, then there can be quite a different outcome than what could probably initially be expected through and after divorce. What message would you give to someone who is at the position of starting their life all over again after this, separation and this ending of a long-term relationship? What's possible?
What I would say, it's important that you start to create a life of your own with new experiences and new people who probably didn't know you when you were married. So it's important to let yourself experience new things. So go out there and try new activities, try new hobbies, and read different books, go to different places. Start creating memories that are yours. So you'll feel more empowered to try new things and just to realize that life is not over, that there's a lot out there for you to discover, that there's a lot out there for you to learn and to change. So I would say just expose yourself to something different every single day. And it's very, very important that you are patient with yourself, because there will be days, even after months, or how much time, like you feel like, okay, I'm healed, everything is great, I love my life. And then you'll wake up one day and feel the loss again. You'll feel sad again and depressed. And that's okay. Then you give yourself a break and say, all right, it was a bad day. Tomorrow will be better. So it's very, very important that you are kind and patient with yourself.
Excellent. Cloris, I'm really glad that you're here. And this next question is based on we've spoken about, divorce. We've spoken about before that situation occurs and self-management. And let's just focus now moving after the event and onwards. Sometimes being in a long-term relationship and when that comes to the end and life goes on and life goes on and then we find somebody else, we attract someone else, yet we haven't really gotten over the previous experience, and we have a default setting which we take into a new relationship. Can you talk to us about that and, the approaches and strategies and what we need to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, it's very common that when we're going through something like this, we tend to feel like somebody else will fix it, right? If I'm in a new relationship, then I'm not going to think about my ex-spouse or whatever happened. And if we're not ready, as you said, we're going to bring not only the same mistakes that we made in our previous relationship, but the negative emotions. Many of the people in the support group did that. They started to date right away. They put up a profile and Match.com, and they
Right.
started to date, and it was a disaster because they had not only the stress of the whole divorce, but the stress of this relationship not working. So it'll be more disappointed to add to your life when you feel like, oh, this new relationship didn't work either. So I'm not worth it then. And then you feel even worse. So it's important that you really let go. And the way to let go of that attachment to being with somebody is by being on your own for a little while. Being on your own until you feel like you're completely content with your life. and that you feel like that healing has taken place. And after that, yes, of course, you go ahead and meet new people and open your mind and your heart to love, to enter your life again. But
That can be hard to do, can't it? Would you say?
it can be hard, that's right. So I would say it's a matter of awareness, like what I brought up at the beginning. Awareness is the most important piece of in this whole puzzle. If you know that, then you'll make decisions that are aligned with true healing, though not fake healing because you're with somebody else and when things are working fine, then you're happy, then when they leave you, you're not. A true healing that allows for you to be or to feel your magnificence no matter what. But again, it's a decision that you must make. It's something about that you have to be aware of every single moment of your life.
Mm. And we're emphasizing taking the time to, through divorce, to be in touch with who you really are, to find that core of yourself, to really work through so that you can stand strong and in your magnificence, as you say. And we've touched on the law of attraction. So, after divorce, and we have worked on ourselves enough to shift the default setting and create a new blueprint, let's just talk about attraction, and being emotionally resilient, so that you attract the right things and the good things and the great things that match this magnificent self and your highest good. Um, how are we moving to that level of self actualization?
Well, this is all related to the to the fact, Rebecca, that we're energy beings, right? So energies of the same wavelength attract each other. So it's like saying, okay, if I want to tune into 101 FM, I need to tune in the radio to that. If I have the radio set to AM radio, then of course I won't be able to receive that wavelength. So the same thing happens with forms of energy that are not necessarily radio, with our emotions, with our thoughts. Our thoughts are pure forms of energy. So when we have a negative thought, then we attract another negative thought, and we behave in ways that match those thoughts. So we'll be attracting negative things in our life. So let's say that you're having a bad day, right? And then you think that okay, everybody, you cannot stand people bother you, everybody's annoying. So it's likely that when you go out driving, you notice the people who cut in front of you. When you get to work, you will notice the people who are doing things that you don't like, people who interrupt you or people who are talking too loud. You will notice those things because your point of attention will be on the things that match your thoughts. See, so it's all about where you place your attention. However, if you are aligned with more positive energies, then you will notice the good stuff. And it's something that happens again at a subconscious level because the brain only takes 13 milliseconds to process an image. There's a recent study that was done by the MIT
Mm.
in Massachusetts. So basically, you might see something in a fraction of a second and you didn't even notice it, but your subconscious did. And that subconscious triggers a thought, and that thought attracts a similar thought. So that's how the law of attraction works. And once you align yourself with positive things, then you behave in ways that allow you to receive more of those positive things. That's what it is. And then you mentioned resiliency. Yes, resilience is the ability to change course when things don't go your way. So you take quick action, and whatever challenge you had to overcome is it's just a challenge. You get through it, you find another way. It's important to know that, and I think all of us know that, right? That we have a goal and things just don't happen according to plan. But it's important to shift the way we act and think quickly so we can still reach our goal. Maybe not in the same way, maybe not as quickly as we thought, but still get there.
Right. Okay. So it's also, based on what you're saying, it's about surrounding yourself with those things that will feed and nourish you. so that you're if it's 13 milliseconds that you register and something sits in your subconscious, make sure that we're around people who are actually going to be support us through this. And one of the things is that I'm saying here, perhaps as females, when we're going through terrible experiences, it could be divorce, it could be anything, it could be a challenging work situation. Sometimes we just really go into the negative aspects of these conversations with other people, and this doesn't really help us. So it's really to shift and focus on, well, what else could this be? What's great about this? What is this experience telling me?
That's right. It will allow you to see solutions. It will allow you to see opportunities because if you're focused on what's wrong, you will not notice. The opportunities will be there and you'll just pass by them, will not really realize that they're there. So that's the whole point of the law of attraction and synchronicity, which I talk about in the book.
Right. And so with your book, Magnificent Married or Not, what's different about it?
But what is different is that is a combination of spiritual and practical strategies. What happened to me, I was doing all this spiritual research on, spiritual books and personal development, and they were all general books. So books about how to overcome excuses and how to become in close contact with your highest self, which was great. But I found myself saying, "Oh my God, I wish I had a book written especially for this situation because I needed to feel that I wasn't alone. I needed somebody to tell me these are the emotions you're going through and it's okay, it's normal, and this is what you do about it." It was all about general situations or other situations that were not specific to what I was going through. So that's why I think Magnificent Mary or Not addresses that. It focuses on this specific situation and it goes beyond just the traditional divorce recovery books because those books, yes, they give you great strategies, but they miss that spiritual part that we need to sustain us, to feed us with love so we can get through this. So I think it's a combination of both things. It really helps and it creates something that I really couldn't find when I was going through my own challenge.
Can you tell us who, in terms of spiritual leaders, um, what support did you get? Who helped you along the way?
Well, many spiritual leaders, I would say the main spiritual leader is Wayne Dyer. I was familiar with his work years before this happened, and I had read many of his books, but they took on a different meaning when I went through this challenge. It's like, let's say that you have a book at home and then you're going through a specific life situation, you read it and you capture different things, right? Then your life situation changes, you read it again, and it takes on a whole new different meaning. So that's what happened to me. I had read his books, but his message didn't really hit me in such a strong way until I experienced this challenge. And that's why I say big challenges become big opportunities because that's when you kind of reset everything, right? You reach a very low level and there's no way to go except for up. You have to get out of the holes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And how can we connect with you?
You can connect with me through my website is cloriskylie.com. That's CLORISKYLIE.com. And I also invite everybody who's listening to tune in to my radio show on Blog Talk Radio. And the radio show is magnificent. And Rebecca will be one of my future guests, which I'm very excited about.
I'm looking forward to that as well. Also, that's September. Yes, great,
That's right.
great. And do you offer online seminars, I believe, Cloris?
Yes, I do, and I'm pretty excited about a new course that I'm going to be launching in a couple of weeks, and it's to help you reach your highest potential. So basically, you already know you are magnificent. You've gone through your challenge. So what's next? How do you really reach that extraordinary level of existence? So that's what the course is about. And I do offer free online training, so you can just go to the website and download it. There's a series of 3 videos right now that I'm offering. And I'd love to get people's feedback. So if you feel that there's something missing or something that you'd like to see in future trainings, then definitely just let me know.
And maybe the last question. I mean, there are many more questions, Cloris, but in terms of the time limitations we have, I'm interested to know what has been the key or key learnings for you since you've embarked on this journey.
I would say, first of all, that my worth does not depend on anything outside of me. So on all the situations that I might encounter, not only in the past, but in the future, that I have to keep that in mind at all times, and awareness is key. I also learned that I actually have the capacity to create my own reality by reprogramming my subconscious mind, by tapping into the energy that is available to me. And I also learned that people who hurt us are doing so out of ignorance. They think that what they're doing is what's best for themselves, and that is important that we learn to forgive. Not not to forgive because we want to be kind to the other people, but because we love ourselves and we know that we are beings of love. So if we really want to be tuned into our true self, then we definitely have to forgive and just try to understand and be empathetic. That everything has improved for me, my relationships with my friends and family, and just the way I view life, and it's just incredible. It has guided me to amazing opportunities and to amazing people like you, Rebecca. It's just a matter of experiencing the positive and building that positive momentum.
Yes, and knowing that there is more. In fact, life has only just begun as a result
That's
of
right.
this experience.
Correct.
Cloris Kylie, it's been a wonderful pleasure to have you join us in the coaching lounge. And you have written the book Magnificent Married or Not, Reaching Your Highest Self Before, During, and After Divorce, which our listeners can obtain through your website and through being in touch with you. It's also on Amazon, I would imagine, all the obvious places, to purchase books, Barnes and Noble, etc.
That's correct.
Yes, okay. So, Cloris, thank you so much. You've shared with us tremendous information that will help individuals through a critical life period, which sometimes we initially see as, like you said, a downward spiral, when in fact there is another way to look at it, which is life transforming. So, thank you so much for your very key insights and key awareness points and strategies, which will be helpful for people tuning in today. Take your place in the Coaching Lounge. Be inspired by discussions with motivational guests, compelling speakers, key people of influence, and models of success. Learn unique processes, strategies, and tips that will transform your life. Tune into previous episodes on www.thecoachinglounge.co.uk. Like our page on Facebook via The Coaching Lounge. Follow us on Twitter @Satellite Coach. Thank you for joining your host, Rebecca Gordon, in The Coaching Lounge. Tune in, relax, engage, and transform your life now.